Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, the Horror Boy. Welcome back to some more reviews. And I was overlooking my channel and I just found out that I haven't really done too many John Carpenter reviews. I reviewed Halloween, I reviewed The Fog, I did a commentary with Steve on Halloween, but I really didn't discuss too many other films from John Carpenter, and that just shocked me because I'm a really big fan of the guy. I also haven't done too many Wes Craven reviews on some of Wes Craven's other films. I've covered Last House on the Left, I covered Nightmare on Elm Street, but I haven't covered Hills of Eyes. I haven't covered Serpent in the Rainbow, Shocker. I haven't covered any of those other classics, People Under the Stairs. I covered all the Scream movies, but yeah, I'm probably going to be doing some John Carpenter and Wes Craven reviews, some of the movies that I haven't discussed on my channel yet. Figured why not? I mean, I really have a lot of respect for these guys. They're some of my favorite directors of all time. I mean, I would say probably Wes Craven and John Carpenter are my two favorite directors. And then, of course, there's also, George Romero and Stanley Kubrick and Sean S. Cunningham, and I can go on and on. A lot of directors I'm really a big fan of. Clive Barker, also fan of Clive Barker's books as well, but I'm also a fan of his, movies. I'm a fan of him as a filmmaker, too. But yeah, I've seen plenty of his John Carpenter's work. There's a few that I must see. They're definitely on the must see list, like They Live and The Assault on Precinct 13, Escape from New York and Escape from LA. I haven't seen, but I love The Fog. I love Halloween. I love In the Mouth of Madness, which is the review we're doing after this. I love Christine. I love The Vampires, which is a film that nobody talks about. Either people say it's meh or it's bad, or I hear nothing about the film. And it's very far in between that stuff. Nobody talks about vampires ever, which is crazy to me because it's a really good movie. Love that movie, Vampires. I love Big Trouble in Little China. I haven't seen Village of the Damned yet, but I'm interested in seeing it. I want to see Starman. I want to see Escape from LA, New York. I want to see Ghosts of Mars. I want to see The Ward. There's really not a bad John Carpenter movie out there, at least to me. But I love most of his work. And this movie is not going to be getting a rant, but this review is definitely going to get some controversy among the horror community. And of course, they were getting to John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. From 1987, gets a 6.7 on IMDb. Written and directed by John Carpenter, or written by Martin Quatermass, which is kind of the name he had to go under. I don't think the studio really wanted him to be writing this movie, so he had to kind of change his name. And I believe he made this right after Big Trouble in Little China, and that movie didn't really do so well, so he kind of had to go back to low-budget filmmaking, which he is a master at doing. I mean, you get John Carpenter a big budget, little budget, doesn't matter, he'll make it work. It's like, George Romero, Wes Craven. Those guys do it well as well. They can take little budgets and make these massive movies, or you can give them a decent budget and make great movies. So really, all these guys make great movies, regardless. And I got this at a flea market, believe it or not, for like $3. Back when this movie was kind of hard to find. It was before the Blu-ray was out. So really, back then, it was kind of hard to find this movie. But yeah, I was like, it's a good pickup, $3. Honestly, I recommend going to dollar stores, thrift stores, flea markets. I find great additions for $5, $4, $10, $9, $8, stuff like that. So, I mean, really, instead of going to Best Buy and getting it for $60, I can go over here and get it for $10. You save a lot of money for that. Or going to Walmart and buying it brand new for $30 or $40. You'll get it used for $8. It's the same movie, same edition, just used. There's no difference. Not even used, honestly. Sometimes dollar stores have it for brand new as well. But yeah, got it for a good price. Not a big fan of this poster of this one because it makes you think that Alice Cooper is the main star of the movie, which he's not. So he's in maybe 2 minutes at most of the movie. But this poster made me think, oh, he's the lead bad guy. No, not at all. He's a very small role. But it was cool seeing him in there. I'm just gonna go out and say it. This review isn't a rant, but I'm not a big fan of this movie. I really am not. And this is probably my least favorite John Carpenter movie. I know it's crazy I'm saying that, but this movie I heard a lot of good things about. I was very hyped to see it, and I gotta say, like I said, it's just not. It is definitely not one of my favorite John Carpenter movies. It's probably my least favorite one. But it's not a bad movie. It's not. There's no rant in this title. I'm not going to be shouting at the movie and saying it sucks. Because it doesn't suck. It's just not a movie I could get into. It's not a good movie. It's not a great movie. It's just kind of a movie that was made to me. And it's like, it was made. It exists. It's there. Would I watch it again? Probably not. It's not really a movie I can get into. You know, acting-wise, story-wise, character-wise, score-wise, all that stuff I just really couldn't get into at all. And it was shocking to me because, you know, I'm a huge fan of John Carpenter. Like I said, love Christine, love The Fog. I love vampires. Nobody talks about vampires. Love that movie. Love The Thing. Love a lot of his work. John Carpenter's filmography is pretty much full of classics and legendary films. But to me, what made this movie so hard to get into, I thought, was the combination of... And John Carpenter even said when he was making this movie, he really didn't know what he was making. He was just kind of winging it out there, throwing everything at the wall, seeing what stuck. And he really didn't have a clear vision of what this was. It was kind of like, just going to make it, you know, throw the stuff in there, let's see what happens. And I don't know, it's just... It's a movie that I had to watch a few times just to understand. Maybe I'm just a dumbass or something like that. Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know. But I had to watch it like 2 or 3 times just to get it. Because the first time I seen it, I was like, I really didn't know what was going on. I mean, I knew there was this green stuff that was the fluid of maybe it was Satan, maybe it was some kind of other being. But no, they say it's the anti-god. Or is it the anti-god? I still don't know. I think it's like the blood of the anti-god. And the anti-god is going to try and bring his father back. Or maybe the father is the anti-god. I actually got to look on that real quick. Because it's Satan. Okay, so really how to explain it. The movie starts out, you have this priest who has died. And Donald Pleasance goes to the school. Where you have Victor Wong in this movie playing a character named Professor Howard Birack. And he's pretty much, you know, teaching this class about religion and science. Most difference between religion and science. What do we know about religion and science? Pretty interesting scene. And Donald Pleasance goes in there and tells him, hey, this priest has died. This ancient, I think, church, you know, that has weird stuff going on in it. They're going to use religion and science to kind of figure out what is going on here. And so Donald Pleasance and Victor Wong get these teenagers together, these student teenagers, kind of researchers together. And you got our lead, Jameson Parker, which I'm really not the biggest fan of in this movie. And you got Lisa Blount, which I'm really not a big fan of either. And I don't know, we'll get into that in a second, but pretty much these kids go to this church, this abandoned church, and there's this green liquid in this container, and it's the essence of Satan. And throughout the movie, they try to do different things, like, you know, people, the liquid gets out, gets in people's eyes and their mouths, and infects them, makes them kind of possessed. There's the people on the outside of the church, led by Alice Cooper, who is killing people. There are people being possessed. There's demon fight, and it kind of reminded me of Night of the Demons. Only I'm a really big fan of Night of the Demons. I think this was after Night of the Demons, like a year after this came out. You know, this came out like a year after Night of the Demons, and it kind of reminded me of that. Only just not a very good version of that. And so you have people getting possessed. Some good effects, I will admit that. You have a creepy scene with this guy standing outside, and he has really dark-looking eyes. And I will say, the effects in this movie are very well done. He has these dark eyes, and he's got blood all over them. And he's like, I need to say something to you, whatever he says. He say something, and then his body falls apart, and there's this like beetles and stuff like that, like bugs. It's creepy. Um, and pretty much the grand plan of this Satan essence of Satan is to bring back his father, the anti-god, and he uses mirrors to do that. And I had to watch the movie a couple times. I'm like, okay, so what is this about? Is it about the anti-god, about Satan? What is this about? Is it about Satan possessing people, but then they want to bring in the anti-god? Who the heck is this? What's going on here? And that was the thing, man. It was really hard to get into. It was really confusing, and they don't explain much in the movie. It's kind of like you're going to have to really listen hard for that dialogue to say, oh, yeah, this is the anti-god. This is the essence of Satan. I'm just, like, watching. I'm like, man, like, I really didn't know what was going on. Like I said, maybe I'm just a dumbass. I don't know. But it was really confusing to me. Does it have great things? Yeah, it does. It has some fantastic things. I think it has some great scenes. I like that scene where they walk in this room and the essence is just coming out of this girl's eyes and her mouth and it's going to the ceiling, just shooting up. That's a great scene. The ending of the movie is pretty well done with the mirrors. I like that. Some good effects. Not a big fan of the idea of the mirrors, but, I'm going to sound crazy saying this. I thought Poltergeist 3 handled that a lot better with the mirrors, in my opinion. In my opinion, I know it's crazy saying that. I got into that more than this. It's kind of like in this movie, they were kind of like, yeah, there's mirrors also involved. It's just like, kind of as it goes along, the movie kind of just says, yeah, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what happened. It doesn't really have a clear linear, goal. It doesn't really have a clear linear motion. It's just kind of like, all right, this is what this is. This is what this is. And that, in my opinion, that's what also is really a bad thing about this movie. Is that it's trying to do all these things in the moment, and it's not focused. It's not a very focused movie, in my opinion. But good things, like I said, great scenes, memorable scenes. I thought Donald Pleasence was great in the movie. I think every movie he's pretty much in, he does a great job, like Halloween 5 and 6. I'm not a big fan of those movies, but he does a great job in those movies. So Donald Pleasence is great in this movie. Great cinematography, some great shots. Some great practical effects, some creepy scenes, some unsettling scenes. I will say it's definitely not a very traditional horror film. It's very different. I can respect that. But I have pretty much problems with everything else. I'm not a fan of that plot line. Because to me, it's a plot that even if you do understand the first time you watch it, like let's say you're paying 100% attention and you get it the first time, it's still not. It's just a plot that I'm not that into, personally. And this is kind of from a guy that's seen Big Trouble in Little China. About these ancient gods coming down and Kurt Russell being the hero, but kind of this bumbling hero that gets knocked out at the time and stuff like that. And I love Big Trouble in Little China. But to me, this movie, it's just, the plot is very rocky. It doesn't know where it's going. It's kind of making stuff up as it goes along. You have moments in the movie where it shows these shots of the anti-god, kind of the after the movie kind of stuff. And it's done like a low-quality VHS, and it's supposedly dreams. I didn't really understand that. I just really didn't get into the movie. I really didn't get into it. And it's just, I don't know if it was the plot just being really complicated for me, but it's weird because I've seen movies with really complicated plots that I've really enjoyed. I love Clockwork Orange. I love The Shining. I love a lot of those movies like that. Granted, 2 Kubrick movies, but, still. I've seen plenty of movies with, like, really complex plots that I still love. And also the acting, I think just everybody in this movie didn't do a good job acting. It's just very weak performances by everybody in this movie, besides Donald Pleasence. I'm not a fan of our leads. I'm not a fan of our side characters. I care about nobody in this movie. They're all horrible actors. I mean, they're great actors. They just don't... I don't know. Great actors, but not really given the best performance in this film. And I don't know if it's the script or the acting. I don't know. All I know is the acting in the movie wasn't really that great. I didn't care about any of these characters. I didn't like this plot line. The whole mirror thing was kind of brought in the last minute. It's just like out of nowhere. I'm not a fan of this idea of, it's it's not Satan, it's the anti-God, it's his father, and he's going to try and bring him back. I just really didn't get into that. There's no sense of dread to me. There's nothing intense about that. I don't know. Maybe it's just the plot. I just couldn't get into that plot. And the characters, and the acting. And in my opinion, the score. The score is one of John Carpenter's weakest scores. There's nothing really to it. I don't like the main theme. I like the way the score sounds of the whole movie. I don't know. I'm just not. This is a movie that I just really couldn't get into. But at the same time, I can't rant on it. It's not a movie that I can sit there and go, oh yeah, it sucks and this and that. No, it's just a movie that I just, there's this movie, certain movies I just can't get into. I'm not a fan of the City of the Living Dead. Would I do a rant on that? No, just not a big fan of it. Not really get into it. I didn't like City of the Living Dead that much. I seen the first 30 minutes of Beyond. I really wasn't getting into that movie. I really wasn't the biggest fan of Suspiria. This wasn't really my kind of movie. It's not that I hate Italian horror. I love zombie. I love the cannibal movies. But just, Suspiria, not really a big fan of. Will I do a rant on it? No. So I think it's not a bad movie. It's just a movie I couldn't get into. There's plenty of movies out there like that. I don't know if it was the hype. I don't know if it was the expectations. I don't know. It's weird because I don't hate the movie, but I don't love it. It's a movie that's just kind of there. I'm probably not going to watch it again. It didn't really keep me interested in the movie. It didn't keep me engaged. And I don't know. It's just probably my least favorite John Carpenter movie. Not a big fan of it. But I'm very curious on your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think of the movie in the comments below. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. So we can discuss more about this movie. If you're a fan of it, let me know in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching. The Explorer of Horror is out. See you guys later. Bye.